Jump scare. Jump scare. Hi. Hello. Hi. I'm Hey. If you've not met me, I almost said in person. We're not in person. But if you've not met this version of me, if you've only seen the PNG tuber, hi. My name is heyHAE. I'm the she behind AstroloShe and the AstroloShe podcast. And today we're going to talk about some difficult topics. This is the second time I've recorded this podcast episode because the first one was a little bit raw and I got scared. And this one I have had time to kind of put my thoughts together and not necessarily promise you a polished conversation, but at least a conversation that we can follow the flow of, where before there was a lot of scattered thoughts. So, if you aren't necessarily in the mood, or if you are already having a bad time or a bad day or a bad moment, and you don't want to add to that perhaps, you may want to skip this one. I will say though, if you are a viewer that is really close to me, or you want to be closer to me, this may be a good episode to listen to, even though I'm really scared to kind of talk about the things that need to be talked about because they need to come out. Originally, this podcast that you see before you on screen, also, before I get into my monologue, my monitor is like over there. So if I'm just like, I was looking at my monitor to make sure that my camera, I have a new camera, is working properly. So if you see me looking over there, that's why. Anyways, unedited podcast, but this time it's me on camera exposing my feelings in person. So if you don't know, this podcast was a brainchild for my Patreon back last September, after I was released from my corporate position after 11 years. This podcast has been collaborative. I've had at least one other human being on this podcast before, other than myself, and I have talked about a lot of hard topics because for me, this podcast was a way to process grief from losing my corporate job, the big girl job that I thought was the end-all be-all for a long, long time. And if you want to listen to more about that, you can see the Burnt Crispy episode that I have here on YouTube. And then also losing my grandfather and formally losing my grandmother, which that episode has not made its way to YouTube. I will give you a smidgen of summary here. My grandmother died in 2021. In July, right before David and I got married. She died of cancer, and she wanted to be cremated because she didn't want people, allegedly, she didn't want people to see her, quote unquote, this way. And so she had herself cremated. We had funeral services. My grandmother was one of the adults that raised me. In a big, heavy way, especially during, like, the middle school, high school years, where me not getting along with my stepmother made it so I didn't feel comfort at home. I didn't feel like being home was a good thing. So unless I was home by myself, I didn't want to be home, unless my mom was there. So lost my grandmother. So she's kind of been in an urn. She was in an urn for my wedding photos with my husband. She was at my wedding, just in a different kind of vessel instead of a human one. It's purple and had butterflies on it. But she had kind of lived in an urn at her and my papa's house, my grandfather. And then my grandfather, I believe he had dementia toward the end. And I know that dementia and Alzheimer's are not interchangeable, but I feel like I've blocked so much of that out that, like, I can't fully remember. I know that his memory was going quick. There was a point where my grandfather, and they live about an hour from me, give or take with traffic, whatever it is, up the interstate. But he made it like past where I live, just driving by himself in the car. And he, being on the phone with different family members, he didn't know where he was. He thought he was going to get a haircut on the south side of his town that he lives in. And he was very much not south and very much not getting his haircut. So things like that started to happen. He's always been like the wittiest, kind of like crude jokers. And where I got that love of humor from, I think, is from him and my grandma both, in the sass. And it got to a point where he couldn't remember the second half of a joke that he's told for the past 30 or 40 years. And that's scary because it dawned on me that, if I come around, he's going to probably, there's a really good chance he may not know who I am, even though apparently I was his favorite at the end because I would be the one to come rescue him from all this medical equipment, because all of his grandchildren and children hated him because they were trying to help care for him while he was still around and make sure that he was okay. We lost him last November, so November 2025. It's currently end of March 2026 when I'm recording. And so not only were the holidays rough this time, but unedited podcast, you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed that. But not only are the holidays rough because there's just an air of sadness that we're all kind of dancing around and trying not to bring it up to ruin the mood. If one thing has stayed true about my family throughout both losing my grandmother and my grandfather, is that we are very drawn to tiptoeing around the issue and not really putting the foot down. So the holidays were rough. I won't get into the conflict with my mother because it's a pretty touchy thing for me. It's one of the things that I have down in lock and key. So if I ever have enough money for therapy one day, or if a friend wants me to fully open up about it and just like let it pour, I will. But until such time arrives, my mom and I don't get along. It's a lot of what I deem to be narcissistic behavior, kind of in both of us. If I'm transparent and honest about the situation, but that made the holidays extra rough because I couldn't avoid her. She's been out of work since I believe last February, and has not looked for employment except once, and then I believe she let that job go the moment she got it because she got the inheritance that she thought she deserved. And Mom, if you're listening to this, that's part of the reason why it all bubbled up, is because of all of those financials. And you demanding them from a dying dad of yours that you work in senior care and just kind of looked at him from a distance. And I haven't lost a parent, at least not in a physical form. And I haven't tried to care for a parent in physical form. But that was pretty stark when you would only show up to ask about money and how much you were going to get and what you were going to use it for, and not help your dying father. That was the best dad in the world. But that's for a different episode. That's for a different time. But that whole situation with my mom, I finally told her the truth, that I was not happy with her. This happened, I believe, early January. I finally put my foot down, or at least I thought I put my foot down. That's how I POV'd it. and let her know that she's really hurt me and it's not really like just easily repairable, and try to explain why, all while my grandfather's vehicle, he drove a Kia Soul for the longest time. I have owned that Kia Soul for 3 or 4 years at this point. When my grandmother died, since her vehicle was then available and things like that, one of my grandma's wishes was for me to have one of the vehicles, because my Camry went to the farm and never came home because it was an expensive fix and I did not have the budget to keep fixing it. My Kia Soul, my grandfather's previously owned Kia Soul, was stolen like the week before Christmas. So just to recap the timeline here, it's not funny. We lost my grandfather in November. Like died in November. We buried him and my grandmother, both, are in the ground in a grave. Which previously my grandmother was not in a grave with anyone. She was out on the mantle, the fireplace, underneath the TV, so she could at least hear the shows going on. Car gets stolen the week before Christmas, so not only are the holidays hard, but then I have a tremendous amount of stress because I've never had my car stolen before. The mom thing blew up, and then here we are coming into spring, hi-ho silver away, and I'm met with Easter. Easter is a really bad time for me, and not a lot of people know that. So part of my objective with like this little like, hey, I keep touching the mic, I'm so sorry. Part of what I wanted to do with this episode of the podcast was kind of tell the world about why Easter's not okay. So when people send us Easter stuff in the mail, maybe if they hear this or someone hears this and they could tell them, maybe don't. So I said that my grandma died in 2021. She died in July. Dave and I got married in August of 2021. We are, hot off the heels of COVID. Picture us spring, like March, April of 2021. We're hot off COVID. My grandma kept kind of begging for us to come around, to say hi. She didn't really know how to FaceTime or anything like that. It turns out she did. I'm leaning into the microphone for this one. It turns out she did know all the technology, but like she didn't want to use that as like an excuse of like people not coming to see her. She very much admitted this to me, like before she was kind of untalkable, like couldn't talk, couldn't really respond, lost control of the body kind of thing. She admitted this to me and started sending me like selfies. I love her. It's easier to laugh at it now. Anyway, so she was really begging us to come around, and I was just like, well, David's got to work and all this other. And she was just like, well, come down for Easter. Like, my cousin Katie, I think at that point she had 4 kids. Or she had 3. No. I think she had 4. I don't remember if she was pregnant with 5. I think she had 4. She's now at 7. Bless her heart. I love you. If you're listening. But I was like, all right, I'll come down for Easter. Like, we'll have like an egg hunt around what we called the shop. My family has owned this piece of land for a very long time. It's got like a really big structure on it that's like meant for like auto repairs and like drainage and like oil changes and things, because my grandpa and my former uncle and my cousins love to work on autos and fix them up and keep them nice. So there was a lot of things that happened at that shop. And then my grandma and grandpa's house, they're double wide, sat on that land. Anyway, so I go down there for Easter and I am helping her set up stuff. She's supposed to be kind of taking it easy. She's not. She's a Sagittarius. I love that woman. But I was helping her, get the dyes ready for like dyeing Easter eggs and like whatever she needed. I was trying to help her the best I could. And she had looked at me and said, "You want to dye some eggs?" And I'm like, "No, like they're for the kids, Graham. Like, I don't want to waste the dye." And she's like, "Well, I bought multiple boxes of dye pellets. Like, let's just make some." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, you don't have infinite eggs." She's like, "There's plenty of eggs. Let's just dye some eggs." I'm like, "All right." Little did I know that was going to be the last kind of normal interaction I'd ever have with her. So that's also the day she told me that, like, she always feels full. She doesn't quite know why, but, like, she can't eat, like, solid foods because she's lost so much weight she can't keep her dentures in. So she blends a can of soup and tries to sip on that, but she can't get through much because she feels like she's going to throw up because she's so full. Turns out there was a tumor in there in her stomach, and that's why she felt really full, because there was no room for anything. But that was sort of the last time that I had like a semi-normal, kind of funny day with her. So, Easter's hard. Seeing boxes of dye, seeing Reese eggs, seeing bunnies and chicks and little baskets and people filling Easter eggs and the flyers going out all over the community for all these different things is really hard. And so I have recognized that, like, something similar like this, I feel like, I don't know for sure, has happened to my mom around Christmas. And that's why it felt like she hated Christmas my whole childhood. Is because I assume something like this happened around, the Christmas holiday, whereas it's happened to me around Easter. Which, it kind of works out. I'm not really religious. But we got a package in the mail from my father-in-law and his situationship. I'm not sure where they stand, and that's not my place to, talk on their behalf or, like, label on their behalf. But, like, sent us, like, an Easter bunny, like, cookies and cream thing, and, like, peanut butter egg candy, and an AMC gift card, which I'm not mad about. I'm not sad about that one. Thank you. If you're listening and watching, thank you so much. But it's why I haven't really gone outside. I don't really want to go to stores and just take a lap because everything reminds me of her. And it's really hard. I don't feel like I really come outside until probably, like, after Easter is so over. Especially, like, you guys know that in corporate America and probably the world, well, maybe not the world, but at least corporate America, Easter, like Christmas, like Halloween, stays in the store for a really long time, and early. So it wasn't even Valentine's Day. It wasn't even my birthday when there was Easter stuff starting to pop up. So if you've been like, "Hey girl, I've been following this podcast. You said weekly." That was the goal. And then the depression hit. Plus, it's been like, there's been some days where it's been like really nice outside. And then there's been days where it's just cold. And I know that that's a winter to spring thing. I understand. But with all of it going on, it's just been so dark. And really hard to navigate. And of course I have David at my side, though I try to push him away. I know my friends are there if I asked for help. I am still trying to learn how best to ask for help. because I feel like I'm a burden to everybody. And so I don't want to just like drop in on someone's day to like talk about how I feel. Though I would do that in a heartbeat for others. But because it's been so dark upstairs, and I mean like, ow, upstairs, not me hitting the desk where the microphone is, but, you know, I look at other people, and the curse of social media is that for me, I instantly compare. And if you mix the comparisons with how dark it's been up there, it makes some really nasty self-talk and self-care. If you, I wonder who else can relate with this. I know my cousin and I have had this talk, but like there's a point of like the depressive state where everything feels really daunting. Like this. No dye, you know, you can see like how light it is. It's just gray blonde. I don't think I've washed this hair in probably almost 2 months. We're approaching a 2-month mark because it's just so daunting. I haven't gotten a haircut in a while. My hair falls out. I mean, obviously, like I'm a shedding husky, but like it's not really super obvious in the camera, but just pulls of hair come out. And that's also why like I get scared to wash my hair, is because I do it so infrequently because I get these depressive episodes and my physical limitations that I have. It just kind of makes the spiral go deeper. When I try to visualize my depression, it's kind of a staircase that just goes down into just darkness. You don't know where it goes. You can't really see anything at the bottom, or if there is a bottom to the stairs. And sometimes I'm being dragged down those stairs by a shadow of some sort, or being pulled backwards so I fall down the stairs. And it's just been really difficult. And so as my brain is starting to, you know, come out of what I call Shark Week, i.e. being on my period, and so the chemicals pull me faster down the stairs, and absolutely knock out any kind of light, create a fog, so I can't see anything in there. Even if I had night vision, I couldn't see. There's fog everywhere. Something that I've recognized is like social media, like, yes, it's necessary to promote my business and, you know, be a part of it, especially like when we talk about like advertising for the sorority I'm in and trying to recruit more members and like proving that we are active kind of thing. But the other side of that is so toxic for me, of like looking at clips of stuff my friends are doing, and it's just like, oh, well, they'll never include me and they don't want to support my project that's like this, so I must be doing something dumb. Or looking at other people posting and all these people like go and share it or they react to it, and then anytime I feel like I share something, I get like maybe one reaction or like two, and one share from my husband, which is still great. But it makes me compare, like, am I even like a good friend? Am I even like a good artist? And within those dark thoughts, it makes the staircase a slide. There's no more stairs. We're just sliding further down, further down, further down, further down, further down. I just hit the microphone again. You guys will be all right. But all that has led to a good few weeks without a podcast or any kind of upload. It's led to, in a broader kind of umbrella sense and month sense, not really anything releasing on Etsy, and trying to climb back up the stairs. I feel like at this point there's kind of a light, like someone's, you know, tried to throw me a flashlight, so like I can see there's a light. I just need to get to it so that I can illuminate what's around me, which, like, funny enough, like flashlight. There's been storms. That's why there's a flashlight on my desk. But maybe I'll keep it here for just the emotional stability of having a flashlight in the dark. But it's been a rough time. You know, getting through Easter is something that's really hard. Getting through, and I don't love summer, so like I can't be like, it's summer. My favorite season is probably fall because of Halloween, and the cooler temperatures and the leaves. So we've got a year to go. But that's why there's been kind of a lack of uploads, especially the comparison thing. And I feel so gross, but I also feel gross like not talking about it. And I'm hoping that some of my friends and family like watch or listen to this and they can maybe be like, shit. Because I don't have the courage to talk to people face to face about it, and that's something that I would like to change. But I gotta get out of the comparing myself to everyone else, because as much as I love social media and I'm an addict to TikTok and Instagram, honestly, gotta stop comparing myself. And if you have felt similar, you gotta stop comparing yourself too, because it'll burn you out on both ends. So, TLDR, that is the darkness that has been swirling. If you have me on Discord, you probably see me listening to Lady Gaga like obsessively. I know that I kind of force it on David in the car. I listen to Mayhem like every single day, full album at least twice. And or I've been kind of slipping back into Chromatica, which is like my depression album of Gaga's, especially the song 911. If you haven't listened to it, you should go listen to it. The big lyric for me is, I have to like sing it to myself in my head. My biggest enemy is me. My biggest enemy is me since day one. Pop a 911, then pop another one. And so the music video is also really powerful, visual wise, especially her guttural scream at the end. Anyway, so that's been the darkness. And I figured, you know, since I've posted stuff to YouTube, I feel like I've been less open and I've been more calculated of like what I want people to know versus what I should probably share, because I love when creators get real. I love when creators are vulnerable. And I was just talking to one of my best friends, which shout out to Kyle. He talked about vaguely the PopCon event that we're going to do here in May, which is terrifyingly coming up, like faster than I'd like to remember. But he had said best friends, and I know he didn't say me by name, but I almost cried because I needed that reminder that like I am friends with people and I'm not just someone to talk at, which is kind of like how Gundam has felt for the last like month. Is like I feel people just talk at me. There's a few that like there's like a few like core group that like I feel like talk to me like not about the franchises or anything else. They just talk to me like a human about other things. And then there's a portion that just talk at me, and it's really hard being one of the only females in this space that I know of. There's two more, I believe, now that are in the indie Discord about Gundam. Anyway. But trying to climb out, getting the flashlight, I figured I would just come and talk about it in the raw and like let you guys know what's going on in my life. There are things to look forward to. I actually just got our convention badges in, so we'll have more information on that soon. I have vinyl stickers I need to post. There's new designs that I need to post and get made, but that will come in due time. I am looking to restart the schedule of posting. So please don't let this one scare you away with the darkness. I believe I have one about SEO, which are common questions that I see people ask in like the Artist Alley groups I'm in, and then like vendor groups that I'm in, that I want to talk about. But then I also have a couple fun ones with my friend Kyle, my best friend Kyle, that I love very much. He's my brother Anakin. And we talk about the interview that I had, which I talk about Minecraft in the interview, and this was my first time telling Kyle about it. And then we talk about video games and the heyday and like what we used to play, what we want to play. And one day we'll get back to those games. But with all that being said, this is my plea to the audience, and I figured I would like look right at camera. This is my plea to the audience. I know it's so cliche and it's so understood that your creator will say, leave a comment, click follow, subscribe, like the video, like, comment, share. Genuinely, when someone comments, it makes me feel happy. It brings that light into that staircase we talked about. Even if it's, you know, only one comment. Like, one comment can be a small baby flashlight that gets dropped down. So this is a call out of me trying to ask for your help that listen. Comment. Tell me something that stood out to you. Say hi. Drop a heart emoji. Something. Let me know. Send me a flashlight. Send me a lit candle. You can pick the smell, even, you know, just no floral, please. It gives me such a headache. But, like, genuinely typing out a reply of some nature means the absolute most to me. And especially when it gets so dark. And I know the sun's coming. That's my witchy anthem is Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. I know the sun is coming. It's trying its best to be here. But it has been a long, cold, lonely winter. And I would love to interact and talk with more people. And hopefully some of these experiences... I wouldn't wish, like, death of grandparents or, like, a fight with a parent or, you know, things like that. Or your car getting stolen on anyone. But if you can relate, I want to know. Because it feels really lonely up here a lot of the time, even if I'm physically surrounded. So, with that being said, I am going to work on this thumbnail right now. I have Lady Gaga playing. Actually, it just changed to Taylor Swift. That I'm not shocked by. In my headphones that are next to me. I'm going to finish my Cherry Coke and work on getting this video scheduled. But thank you for listening and giving me the space and granting this space. Shameless plug. My Etsy, I'm trying to get that lawnmower started. We've released a couple of things. I'm re-releasing some things that have been kind of in the vault for a while. I would like to stream on Twitch. This camera is working great. Thank goodness. I stole it. It's David's. It's David's stream camera from when he was going to go stream. But we have this going on. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/astrology. So it's just like it's spelled here, but without the craft. I'm on social media under AstroloShe and AstroloSheCraft if you want to go stalk my social media. And we're going to be okay. Social media is kind of like a dual-edged sword. We just got to be careful. And I will watch your back if you'll watch mine. Okay. I love you guys. Thanks for giving me the space. And I will talk to you a little bit later. Now, I'm going to look at this screen and hit the stop recording button. It's going to be awkward for a second because my mouse is not lined up. But now it's lined up. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.